know where you're watching from. And let me open up the comments over here so that we have them. Hi, Science Guy. How are you over on YouTube? Hello from Florida. Hi, Pennsylvania. How are you? Utah. Hello, hello. Such a beautiful state. I drove through there and just loved it. New York City. Hi. Good to see you. Billings, Montana. I drove through there. I went on an 8-state tour during COVID, just seeing the country. Oh, California. That's where I am. I'm in Los Angeles, California. Token male. You're not just token male. You're 17% of my followers, gentlemen. That's what you are. Alabama, hello. Hi, Chicago. How are you? Hi, Georgia. Nice to see you. Massachusetts. Look, we got everybody here. Carlsbad, you're just down the road. Hello, fellow Angelino. Nice to see you. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Over here, we see there's somebody coming on from Facebook. Am I single? No, I have a fabulous boyfriend. Australia, nice. It's tomorrow for you, not today. Huntington Beach, hello. Another Sydney, Australia. I have a lot of Australian followers. It's really Connecticut, hello. More, Brisbane, nice. Georgia, Iran, nice. Guys, tell me where you're watching from. And then Rancho Santa Fe, Melbourne. Look, we got all the down under people. Guam, because of the time zone. By the way, did you notice I'm starting to experiment with merch? I know it's so weird. I never thought, first of all, at my age, that I would be on social media, that I would get such a warm welcome. I mean, I come from what we call traditional media, right? I was a local news anchor in Los Angeles for years. I hosted a lot of TV shows. I went back to graduate school and got a midlife master's and PhD in psychology and began writing books, traditional publishing deals. And so social media and podcasting is all new, but I'm doing the same stuff I've always done. I'm just getting to bring it to new audiences, and people are loving to be educated. Thank you for your compliments. That's nice. Thank you. Hi, Malaysia. How are you? Hi, Brazil. Wow, everybody. So anyway, I'm experimenting with merch, and I don't know if you read this backwards with your, oh, they can't even see it over here on StreamYard. Here we go. One of my most viral videos was called Men Don't Fall in Love Through Sex. And I thought we could start by talking about that. Men don't fall in love through sex. Men fall in love through trust. And generally, they don't trust a woman who has sex with them early on, because what they think in their head is, well, if she's doing it with me, she's doing it with everybody else. And women think, oh, I'm into him and I love him, so why don't I just show that? Or I'm turned on by him. But it can actually ruin their chances for a long-term relationship with him. Now, I do want to say something about casual sex. While most women do not like casual sex, some women do. And I am not part of purity culture. There's no religiosity in me. I am all about science, and I do not judge anybody. We have the widest range of sexual behavior of any primate species. I don't judge anybody. However, there are certain mating strategies that you use if you want to obtain a short-term relationship, and other mating strategies that you use if you want to obtain a long-term relationship. And women in their childbearing years, especially near the end of their fertility window, once they're over 30, are more likely to want a long-term relationship. So that's all I'm saying. Okay, so let's start over here on YouTube from Science Guy. Science Guy says, Doctor, I'm bringing up the prenup conversation with my 9-month-old girlfriend. How can I start this conversation? Okay, like any difficult conversation, you start with a communication sandwich, which is a layer of love, followed by a layer of something a little harder to chew on, backed up by another layer of love. So you start out by saying, you know, it's only been 9 months, but I want you to know that I can imagine spending the rest of my life with you. I feel so good when I'm with you. However, having said that, not everybody stays together until they die, even though that is my plan. Absolutely my plan. And I think we should both be concerned about protecting our assets. So I think it's important that we find a way that works well for both of us to put something on paper so that then we can put it behind us and just enjoy our lives together. How about that? It's a good way to ask about it. Oh, you guys are so funny with your comments over here. What is it about YouTubers? Next question. What do we got? She seems like a Taurus. Who? Me? I am a Taurus. Any more relationship questions up there on Instagram? Do you guys have any? You guys have over here on Facebook and YouTube? I see you all coming in. Put some questions up there for me. Thank you for saying I'm a smooth talker. I am. And I want to invite everybody to join me in a few minutes. I'm going over to my private exclusive Zoom room on Patreon, which is always a treat. Moroccan mint green tea. So delicious. After first date, about to go on a second date to build healthy communication. Not a great communicator, trying to make it work. Let me roll backwards. So I want to say this carefully. Honesty is the best policy. Honesty saves everybody a lot of time. Just think in terms of being authentic and yourself, and even authentic with your feelings. If you consider yourself to be not a good communicator, practice emotional communication. Practice it with people that you trust, your friends and family, so that, thank you for your nice comments. That's very sweet. So that you can be more comfortable with it when you get to strangers. This is an interesting question. I would need a lot more information here, Matt. Matt says, should I live with my wife alone or should we live with my family? I want to avoid family drama. Well, it depends where you are in the world and what your cultural method is, basically, a family style. There's, what's natural for our human species is to live in households with multi-generational families. This idea of a man and a woman in a heterosexual relationship, living alone in the suburbs, in a home with offspring that are related to both of them, is a pretty new phenomenon in our evolution. Generally, we were tribes who raised children together. So I'm sensing that the question is coming because you may have sort of cultural traditions that are multifamily, and then you've come to a more modern capitalist society that lives in a nuclear family. So, so Nate's got a question about logging onto Patreon. I don't have a passcode to log in to get online with everyone. So tonight's Patreon Zoom room is for tier 3 and 4, and I send out the passcode just before we go live. So once a month, my Patreon Zoom room is for tiers 1, 2, 3, and 4, or maybe it's 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, and 4, right? The podcast on level on up. And then every week is for tiers 3 and 4. That's always a good question. 2 separate bank accounts or 1 joint account, which is best? Actually, the research says you need 3 accounts. You need a household account for all the money that goes in to pay food, utilities, keep the lights on, get the rent paid, whatever. And you both put into that account proportionately based on what you make. So if somebody makes $100,000 and somebody else makes $50,000 a year, then one would put in twice as much as the other. Then you each get to keep your separate accounts. This allows you a sense of autonomy. It is better if you've got a saver and a spender in a relationship together. It allows one to do what they want. It allows you to buy birthday gifts for your partner and they can't complain about how much you spent. It allows you to treat your partner. Now, the research also shows that what you do with that separate single autonomous account is important. If you reinvest it into the relationship, it's much more valuable and it'll go further. So either buying something for the relationship, taking the relationship on a vacation, that's what you need to do. If you're using it just to satisfy yourself outside of the relationship, like I'm going to buy this great thing for me, it's not going to go so well. Okay, there's a good question. Thank you for your kind comments up there, but here's another one. This watcher, follower, listener says, what does research say about delaying sex? It's been 8 months and we haven't had sex because I want to build emotional intimacy. Well, I hope you've built emotional intimacy by 8 months. Now it's personal preference. The research only looks at delaying sex, say 30 or 60 days or 90 days, right? So one research study out of Brigham Young University that I read showed that if you have sex within 30 days of meeting somebody, you have a 92% chance of being broken up within 1 year. If you wait only 90 days and build that emotional glue, then you have a 1 in 4 chance you'll still be together a year later. Because the point is, what keeps a relationship together is honesty and emotions, etc. Now, it's not to say that people can't have short-term relationships as long as they're both on the same page, and then there won't be conflict and problems, right? They can say, this is just because I'm attracted to you, or I just want sex. That's fine. But if you want something long-term, then delaying it just a little bit is probably a good idea. Okay, I have only time for one more question. I'm not seeing any on Instagram, so type in a question because then I'm going over to Patreon. You can join my Patreon, patreon.com/Dr. Wendy Walsh. As I said, we have private exclusive Zoom rooms. It's a brain trust of wonderful people who weigh in on people's relationship stuff. And what do we got? Someone's leaving. They're saying goodbye to me. Do you have a question? Somebody have a question up there? Okay. Oh. They go by so fast. I was unable to get it. Let's see if I can scroll back. Let's go back. Oh, I'm sorry to hear. I suffered narcissistic abuse for 8 years with my ex-husband. I'm sorry. I've been in therapy for a long time, but it's still really hard to move on. I feel like I'll not be able to trust and love again. Do you have any advice? Yes. First of all, stay in therapy is the number one advice. But secondly, I want us to work hard to get out of the victim mentality, right? So I went through an abusive relationship. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. I'm a survivor of financial abuse. I don't think of myself as a victim or even that much as a survivor. I think of myself as smart and highly resilient. I think about the reasons why I stayed, and they were very noble. They were for my children. So I want you to think about the reasons why you stayed and be really thankful for the things you learned when you were there. But it's really important that we not get into the victim mentality and think of ourselves as a victim, because then we go on to live out life as a victim. Okay, I'm going to go over to Patreon now. It opens up, the Zoom room opens up in 15 minutes. If you'd like to join me, you go to Patreon, Patreon, patreon.com/Dr. Wendy Walsh. I would love to see you personally in my Patreon Zoom room. Otherwise, I'm always here for a few minutes every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock Pacific time. Good to see you. It's always a pleasure. Bye. First, I end that.